You're welcome back to the Gavel. The National Assembly appears set to commence work on the Petroleum Industry Bill. Now, the President of the Senate, Senator Bukola Saraki, gave this indication during the opening of the National Assembly Business Environment Roundtable in Abuja during the week. The Senate President said the National Assembly is determined to pass necessary legislations that would give private investors the confidence to invest in the Nigerian economy.
With the price of crude oil still steeped in uncertainty, the need for Nigeria to explore new means of generating revenue has become critical. In a bid to address this, business executives, representatives of industries, and members of the legislature gather for the maiden edition of the National Assembly Business Environment Roundtable. The chairman of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group begins by outlining how the legislature can help enhance the business environment in the country.
Permit me to note that without the legislature giving priority to the business environment, the nation risks losing what little jobs are currently available, as well as risk losing the opportunity of moving significantly on the doing business rankings or indeed the World Economic Forum competitiveness ranking, as it is common knowledge that our poor infrastructure, rather our poor performance, which is largely as a result of constraints in the business environment. I'm, however, pleased to note with confidence that the 8th National Assembly has demonstrated its commitment to making the business environment right in Nigeria by not only supporting this process effectively, but also hosting this event in the National Assembly complex.
It was generally agreed that a lot needs to be done as regards the ease of doing business in Nigeria. Some of the participants also pointed out areas the discussions should focus on.
I can also tell you that the enabling business environment is a real challenge everywhere on the continent. From long registration processes and obstacles, lack of access to finance, weak infrastructure, multiple and very complicated tax liabilities, to visa requirements, we have a million ways to extinguish businesses and partnerships before they even begin.
As we deliberate, we need to look inwards to review the role of our regulators and the regulations they make, how they impact on business and investment opportunities and decisions. Regulators today are increasingly being recognized as having significant quasi-judicial powers. The decisions of regulators and how conflicts arising from them are dealt must occupy our minds.
I often hear the term import substitution as a policy of the Nigerian government to help drive local industry. I think you need to replace the word import substitution by import competitiveness. And it's clearly the role of the private sector to help increase that competitiveness and to help fill the gap that the low revenues in oil are currently creating. The legislature has a key role in ensuring that the right legal framework is in place, and here is my point, so that there is confidence for the private sector to make investment, both local and international.
Speaking for the National Assembly, the President of the Senate said the two chambers are determined to work together on the resulting legislation.
The message here across to the private sector is that the National Assembly, House of Rep and the Senate are working very closely together in this 8th National Assembly. And as such, you have a commitment that some of these processes will not be bogged down and not be passed because one chamber is doing something differently. And as part of this commitment, you all see next week when we lay down the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill, you will see that the bill we're going to lay in the House is the same bill we're going to lay in the Senate, because for the first time we're focusing and we're working together.
The participants here all agree that the discussions here must lead to action that will drive the change that Nigeria so desperately needs.
The House of Representatives is questioning the legal basis for the review of the 1.04 trillion naira fine imposed on the telecommunication company MTN for failing to deactivate unregistered SIM cards. After considering a motion on the matter before going for the Easter holiday, the House resolved to investigate the extent to which the company violated the provisions of the law and if the company should escape criminal liability for the alleged death of over 10,000 Nigerians. The lawmakers also frowned at the tone of a letter written to the House Committee on Communication, declining an invitation to appear before the committee and referring it to other government agencies.
It's an issue that has led to diplomatic talks between Nigeria and South Africa. The 1.4 trillion naira fine imposed on South African telecommunications company MTN for violating some aspects of the Nigerian Communications Commission Act. Even though the fine has been reduced to 780 billion naira, lawmakers in the House of Representatives are querying the matter.
MTN specifically violated Section 19, Subsection 1 and 2, and Section 20,
please.
Subsection 1 and 2
Order.
of the Nigeria Communication Commission NCC Act, cited above. Let me further aware that MTN ought to have been fined under both Section 19 and 20, respectively, with cumulative penalty of 3.1 trillion 200,000 and not the fine of 1.04 trillion, which is a gross violation of the combined reading of both Section 19 and 20 of the Nigeria Communication Commission NCC Act.
The lawmakers also queried the role of the Attorney General of the Federation for taking over the negotiations with MTN without including the NCC. The Speaker, however, had another concern.
Can any authority in Nigeria modify that penalty? Leader and then minority leader. Please, I want that aspect addressed.
Mr. Speaker, well, the authority you're looking for is actually found in the Constitution under separation of powers. When a law has been made by Parliament, the only body that is authorized to amend that law is the Parliament. That's why you have separation of powers. The executive cannot amend our law. The Attorney General cannot amend our law. When you talk about nolli prosequi and all of that, you are talking about somebody who has the right to initiate proceedings, also has the right to withdraw it. That is totally different from what we're talking about now. If the law gave discretionary powers in terms of fines, that anything below 200,000 or anything, that is where the discretion of negotiation comes in. But where the law has been actually specific, as in this case, then the only way that you can reduce that fine is to come here to amend that law. It is very, 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 very clear. It's as simple as ABC. Anything outside that is ultra-virus.
There is the clear principle of separations of power, and let me refer you to Section 5. The Section 5 stipulates very clearly that subject to the provisions of the Constitution, it therefore brings some level of superiority in line with the responsibility of making laws. Now, where a law has fixed, and I appreciate the word used by the majority leader, where the law has been fixed and there is a fine fixed, there is no way you can reduce that fine. Neither can you cancel it. Except probably you will have to come back to Parliament and reduce it. And I think I want to appeal to the committee that will handle this job that please find out precisely where did the authority come from. How were these people able to achieve the authority to go and even negotiate this whole exercise? Yeah. Who actually authorized? Who here is usurping the responsibility of an agency? Because why I'm saying this, Mr. Speaker, is that the hour and time has come for us to strengthen our agencies, where they will be able to act independently.
The motion called for an investigation into the matter. The Speaker then put the prayers to a vote.
Those in favor of the motion as amended say aye. Those against it say nay. The ayes have it.
Committee is also to check if MTN should not be prosecuted for being criminally liable for the alleged death of over 10,000 Nigerians.